Okay, everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm starting the stream now. This is Monika. I'm from DethWench's Professional Services. And actually, it's February 14th, and it's my birthday. I'm a Valentine's baby. I'm also Aquarius. But anyway, the reason I was having this stream is not because it was my birthday. Actually, I kind of forgot it was my birthday. And the reason I kind of forgot is because I'm being 49, which is uneventful. Like next year, it's going to be a big deal. But the other reason I kind of forgot was I was working on this white paper. And so maybe you're finding the stream just randomly on YouTube. But maybe you're finding it because you saw I posted on LinkedIn that we just finished this white paper and that I was going to do the stream where I'm going to show you my code from making the plots in the white paper. And what the white paper is about is the Massachusetts casinos. There's 3 casinos in Massachusetts. I'm from Minnesota. They have a lot more casinos. But 3 is very manageable, right? And so the Massachusetts Gaming Commission, that's where I live, Massachusetts, they've put out sort of like an initiative where they want to get women-owned and minority-owned businesses to contract with the casinos, and that's what I am, is like a woman-owned, minority-owned business. And I have a friend who's also, she's like a fintech data scientist. So we were like, okay, we want to contract with these casinos. So I thought to be attractive to them, I would write this white paper. But obviously, I don't work there. So I had to go get some data. So what am I going to do? I have to get some data. So I did. I got some data. So I want to show you that. I'm going to show you the data I got. I'm going to show you what I did with the spreadsheet. And then I'm going to show you the calculations I did and the plots I made so that I could make a white paper and make some conclusions about these casinos. So hopefully then the casinos will say, oh, this is the best business analysis I've ever seen. And I'm going to make a contract with Monika's business. All right, so that's the goal. All right, so let's turn around to the screen, and I'm going to start by talking about the data. All right. So this is our GUI. I'm old-fashioned. Leave me alone. All right, but I want to show you the data set that's behind this. So first what I did was I assembled the data. Now, I'm going to show you 3 data sets, but really, I mainly only graphed 1, okay? So you can see there's 3 tabs here, okay? So the first one I called Casino. Guess why? It's about the 3 casinos. I didn't really, I read it into R, but I didn't really use it. I used this more for just putting the data so I could look at it. Actually, if you look at our white paper, if you want a copy of our white paper, just go to my blog, or, well, you don't have to go to my blog. You go to LinkedIn, join with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn, and write me and send me your email address, and I'll just email you the paper, okay? But I'll tell you, see that this, you can see what I sort of gathered, because I was thinking, okay, I know you haven't been, well, I don't know that. Maybe you've been to these casinos. Okay, so maybe you have. Well, if you have, you know that Plain Ridge Park is really small. And you know that Encore Boston Harbor is huge. And you know MGM Springfield is medium. So it's sort of like Goldilocks, small, big, medium, right? And so you can see that in this total square feet. The other thing you can really see here is that the date opened is kind of interesting, because I'm like from Minnesota and we've had like casinos since like the 90s, like I remember going to casinos in the 90s. But in Massachusetts, it's a little state, and there are like casinos in Rhode Island and Connecticut, which are right next door. So Massachusetts just didn't have any casinos, right? Which is like unheard of in Minnesota. So the fact that they started them, I moved to Massachusetts in 2008. I'm like, oh my gosh. They started Plain Ridge Park in 2015. Then in 2018, they started MGM Springfield. And then finally in Boston, this last year, we get to go to our own Vegas-style casino at Encore Boston Harbor. Huge place, lots of hotel rooms. Like, look, 671 hotel rooms. And And the one at Springfield has hotel. It's a beautiful hotel rooms. I love the one at Springfield. No hotel rooms at Plain Ridge Park. Plain Ridge Park, it's kind of in a suburb, and it doesn't have any hotel rooms, and it also doesn't have any tables. It just has casino, or I'm sorry, it just has like slot machines. And mainly it's because it's sort of historically, there's a history of horse racing in Massachusetts, and it's sort of an old horse track, so that's why it sort of converted. And actually, the horse track, I think it looks really beautiful. It's just garden and like landscaping. But anyway, what I wanted to show you was in our actual white paper, I do put a table in with these metrics, okay? But I just do it by hand, and I make it in Excel, which is like my favorite place to make tables. And then what I did when we wrote the white paper is we wrote it in Word, but then I converted it to PDF. So I'll show you. Here it is. Here's the white paper, and I'll just show you here over the results here. You can see this is the table, right? I just copied and pasted it in there. And I'm telling you, that's the way to do it in reports. Stage your tables in Excel. Even if you make them in R, just output the data, put it in Excel, pretty it up, and copy it into Word. And so it's like a laundromat, but it ends up better than that. That's the best way you can do it. I have to keep an eye on if anybody joins and actually ask me a question. But so far, nobody's joined yet. But anyway, so let me see here. So where was I? So those are the casinos that were involved in the analysis, just to give you an idea. Okay, then where did I get the data that I plotted? Because obviously I didn't plot this data, okay? I plotted the data in this by month. I called it by month, okay? So let's just walk through this a little bit so you understand it. So I put this order here because I did data entry basically. Well, I mean, it wasn't totally manual, but you'll see. And then this ID, that's a foreign key to the casino. I basically created these IDs. And so you can see all these lines are about Plain Ridge Park, right? Because the ID is 1. And so year underscore calendar year, right? Which is 2015, right? So you can see this 2015 and then month, calendar month. So this is June 2015, July 2015. So each one of these each row of this is about a month and a casino, okay? So later when we get down to 2018, where we have these rows for Plain Ridge Park, we're also going to have rows for MGM because it's going to be open in 2018, right? So that's the best way to format your data for ggplot2 in R, which is the package I use in R to make these plots. So you want to do it that way. Okay, and then I included this myself, the year of operation, month of operation, but I didn't use it in my analysis. I wasn't really sure. I was throwing spaghetti at the wall. Then this one here is partial. That means it's a partial month, and their first months were all partial months, so that's just a flag. So all of this data I just took directly from revenue reports that are submitted by the casinos to the Massachusetts Gaming Commission. They're just available online. I copy and pasted them out of these tables. But I'm going to call your attention to the important ones. Well, I mean, they're all important, but the ones I analyzed, right? What I analyzed was slot GGR, table GGR, and payout percent, okay? So I'm going to explain to you what those are. I didn't know what GGR was when I started this because I'm an epidemiologist, right? What it is gross gaming revenue. So if you're a casino, let's say you have a slot machine, and for the whole month, people sit down and they put in a bunch of money. Let's say they put in $100. I'm just going to keep this simple. So they all put in $100. Then let's say that some people win, some people lose, but the total amount they end up winning in that month is $25. Okay, so the slot machine had to give back $25, but it took in $100. So 100 minus 25 is 75. So that would be the gross gaming revenue for that month for that slot machine, right? But obviously, if you have a whole bunch of slot machines, you add up all the money everybody puts in, and then all the money that they pay out, and you minus it, and then you get this slot gross gaming revenue. Same thing with the tables. You go and see, why is this 0? Because remember how I said Plain Ridge Park doesn't have any tables? So they don't have any gross gaming revenue per month per tables, but you'll see that it's down there. So of course, the first thing I was thinking is, if this is per, like, Encore is huge, okay? The third one that just opened is huge, and it's got a huge gaming floor, which you'll see. Obviously, they're going to make more gross gaming revenue on any of these. They just have more, you know. So how do I compare these? And what I realized is that if I took a ratio of the gross gaming revenue of the slot machines per month and divided it by the number of slot machines, I'd have it like per slot machine. And this was getting me close to what I wanted to talk about, because this is what I want to talk about, okay? When I go and I play slot machines, which I don't play very high, like I put 20 cents and my friends know, you know, because I obviously I'll get to the payout percent. You'll know why when I get there. But anyway, so I don't put in, when I play these slot machines, what will happen is I'll walk around the gaming floor and I'll just squint and I'll just notice where people are clustering. And this is especially interesting really early in the morning because the floor is pretty empty and you'll see people are not evenly distributed. Like they're all by certain machines. And so people have asked, well, slot machines, they all take your money. Why do people like certain ones? And the answer is complicated. It has to do with this concept called volatility, and it has to do with other things. And with me, I hate to admit it, but I really like the art. I like the music. Like there's this one song by Bally's. It's on Bally's ones, and not all of them. But when you win, it plays a song. It's so beautiful, you know. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just too like hippie trippy into the art of it, but there's certain slot machines I like for whatever reason. I like them, but I'll notice that there will be these slot machines that no one ever plays. It doesn't matter if it's early in the morning. It doesn't matter if it's a rush. It's almost like there's like a force field around them and nobody wants to play them. And I have tried to play those slot machines and I didn't like them. And it may be just simple volatility. It's just too low volatility. You don't win, you get bored, you leave, right? Yeah, once in a while somebody gets a jackpot, but that's not fun because you're trying to have fun because most of the time you don't win anything. I mean, that's just the way it works. You wait till I get to payout percent, like I said. So anyway, that's what I was thinking is that if you have an efficient slot, it makes a lot of money in 1 month, okay? Why? Because it takes up space on your floor and it has maintenance, you know what I mean? And also, like, if it's there and it's not making money, it represents something that I'm not playing and that other people are not playing. So it's just good to improve the efficiency of these machines. And the same is true of the tables. In fact, Encore Boston Harbor, and they know this is in the newspapers, they were criticized because when they started their tables, they were like $50 a table buy-in. And this is Boston, okay? Like, we don't have a lot of money. I mean, we have money, but not that much, right? Like, it's not, like Macau, which I watched a video on Macau. It's really beautiful there. But anyway, and so they learned that they had to change it and lower it to improve their table efficiency, right? They weren't making enough per table. So that's sort of this efficiency thing as what I came up with in my brain because, I'm undergraduate in fashion design, and so that's how I get these ideas. Okay, then here's the payout percent, which I've been already complaining about. You can see it's pretty low already, so that's foreshadowing here. Oh, and then this is the stupid. I was downloading. You know what I was doing is I was converting a PDF to a JPEG or a JPEG to a PDF. Or you know how you do things. And I was clicking so fast, I downloaded a virus, and AVG didn't catch it. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'll have to reinstall Chrome. I don't know. You know how life goes. You just once in a while get a virus. That's the way it goes. So, because you're clicking too fast, I should pay more attention. So, one of the things that I learned from doing this analysis is that casinos care a lot about, and states care a lot about taxes. So, casinos pay taxes to states, and that often is involved in their analysis, in state analyses and in casino analyses. So what that told me is it matters how, like, people matter. Because when you think of taxes, you sort of think of people, right? So I'm from Minnesota, like I said. North Dakota doesn't have a lot of people in it. It's not a very dense population. And so the amount of taxes your casino needs to make if it's in North Dakota isn't as much as it would need to make in a state the same size with the population of like Massachusetts, which is almost 7 million. And so that's why, like, when I saw this taxes thing, I started thinking about population. Okay, so all this data that's on this, so all the data on this sheet came from annual reports from the Massachusetts Gaming Commission, although you could probably find this other places like this, that's on their websites. Except for I added some. I looked up how many restaurants there were and stuff. But these ones I use in the analysis, that was all from actual annual reports from the Massachusetts Gaming Commission, because I want to make sure I had the right numbers. This was from the revenue reports that they submit to the Mass Gaming Commission. And again, this was all on the web. And then finally, this is really interesting, okay? These are all from states here. These are all states. And so you're probably wondering, where did I get that? Well, the answer is over here. By luck, I found online the State of the States 2019, an AGA survey, commercial casino industries. So it was like AGA, American Gaming Association. Now, one thing I noticed is that so they have this table here. So you'll notice here, this is commercial casino gaming consumer spend, GGR. See, a GGR is what they use by state. And they had 2017 and 2018 in the change. Well, I was interested in this 2018. And I saw Massachusetts was here, even though I could have probably calculated it myself from, my data. But still, this is fine. But Minnesota's not in there. So they must not be a member of the American Gaming Association. So take this with a grain of salt. These are just the members, okay, that they reported this on. Which, thank you for doing that, I will say to the American Gaming Association. So, as you can see, look at this big one. This is Ohio. Oh, Nevada, right? An outlier. Well, we all know Las Vegas. So I took these data and I put them over here. Now, you see how it's really hard to read that, okay? Why is it hard to read it? Because I don't have any commas or anything in there. The reason why I did that is what I do is I copy this into, this is an XLSX. This is all nice. I just keep this. But I copy these into CSVs, and then I have each of these as a separate CSV that I read into R. I guess I can show you. Let me see where my directories are. I was so sure I was organized, but now I'm not organized anymore. Oh, here it is. Let me show. Okay, so see, this is my data directory, right? See, I put this GGR. That's the one we're looking at right now from the American Gaming Association. In casino, that was that first, but I didn't end up analyzing it. And then the by-month one, okay? So that just shows you that I saved these as CSVs. So reading it into R was hard if it had these things. Like R saw the comma as a character. So I just took all that out. But of course, when I wanted to put this in the in our white paper, which I did, I wanted to put this in our white paper. I wanted it to look nice, right? So that's why I say always make like a separate Excel file to stage your tables for your report that's totally different from your data tables. And if you're like, Monika, you must have 500 Excel spreadsheets at any given time. The answer is yes. That's exactly what happens. So you can see here, I put them in alphabetical order, but I highlighted Massachusetts because that's what this is about. Okay? And so, the other thing that I didn't explain to you is that I went to the census and I got our state population in 2018. Actually, I got all of their state populations because I had that idea from looking at the taxes. Both Massachusetts and the American Gaming Association were getting the tax. So I thought, okay, that relates to population. All right. So then, so I showed you our first two tables, and I showed you, and I made this little picture. Actually, this is kind of nice because, see, Boston is over here, and this is where this big new casino is, Encore Boston Harbor. Plainridge Park, that's the one that I said was in the suburbs that was in, that doesn't have any tables or hotel, that was like an old racetrack. And then this is the one, MGM Springfield. Now I want you to see here, see New York, see Connecticut, see Rhode Island. There's casinos here. So this MGM Springfield has a tough situation because it's competing with those. All right? So now let's get on to the plots that I did. And actually, let's start with, I showed you these tables. Let's start with this first plot, okay? So first I'm just going to unpack the plot for you. So this is the comparison of the 2018 state GGR with 2018 state population for states in the American Gaming Association report. So what's going on here? Secondary axis, okay? So on this axis, we have the 2018 total GGR in millions, right? So look at this long one. That's Nevada. No surprise. We just looked at it. That big outlier is here. And so I made it sorted in order of GGR, okay? Then what's over here on the secondary axis is 2018 population in millions, right? And remember I said Massachusetts is about 7 million. It's like 6.9 million. Here it is. This is Massachusetts. See, just a little baby gaming revenue. And this is in 2018. So this is when we had two casinos. Well, halfway through the year, MGM had opened. And so that's down here, and here's our population, okay? And here's all the states. So I put this horizontal line because I said, okay, other states with that kind of a population should be able to have a bar like this. In fact, I even colored them just so you could see it, So if we put this line here, this is the closest one is Indiana, okay? And so look at their gaming revenue, and look at how huge it is. You know what I'm saying? And they have the same level of population. They probably have like competition, just like Connecticut and Rhode Island. But then look at, it's like you can't really get out of it because this is Massachusetts. So, you're wondering, okay, it's a lot of work to put up a few casinos, and it's a lot of work to regulate them. I'm not into like totally fleecing the community, but shouldn't you be making more money? Shouldn't this bar be even half that high, And also there's other ones, like see these guys down here? What is this? This is Missouri, and this is Maryland, okay? And they're making this stuff, and what's the difference, right? Like Boston is not that far from New York, It's not like we're in the middle of nowhere like we are in Minnesota, which is kind of funny. Iowa's even doing better. I'm telling you. Those Midwestern casinos, those buffets, they're the best buffets. All right. But anyway, so let's go to R and see how we did this, right? So the first thing I did, I showed you that a raw data. Okay, so I read in the data and I called it bar plot. And then I created that category. Remember how it was colored different colors like this? Well, I had to create that category to make that happen. And I'm doing it here. See how, it's R, so the criteria is on the left side. So I started out by making everything say higher in mass. I called it GGR level, which you can see here. This is GGR level. And then this was like if they were in those small ones, I put it lower than mass, and if they were mass, I called it mass. And then the other thing I had to do was make sure that it was a factor. So in R, unlike SAS, you have this data type called factor. And some days I like it and some days I don't. What it's for is it's for categorical variables. And these categorical variables, like, what's good about it is I made it a factor and then it's a really nice legend on there. What's bad about it is that sometimes you can run into trouble with factors. Like when I do things on a Likert scale, often, like let's say that I do a survey with a Likert scale of 1 to 5 and nobody happens to say 1 or nobody happens to say 2, then my factors get screwed up, because there needs to be a 2, just it's empty. So that's why I'm not a big fan of factors in R. But I needed it for this, so I just convert. What's good about R is you can just convert things back and forth, and it's it's easy going that way. Okay, so I'm calling up the library GGHA2, obviously, but I'm also calling up the library scales, which is you can use to like modify your scales. And I think, I don't even remember exactly what commands do it. Are in scales, but I think it's a scale color manual, scale fill manual, scale wide continuous, these scale ones, right? So, okay, so now the first thing I did was I set up these colors. I really recommend you do this. If you're going to use hex colors in R, just start by turning them each into variables named something that's not the color name that's already programmed in R. Like hex underscore is a good way to do it. Because otherwise you're going to go crazy trying to memorize that this is red and this is blue and this is, And again, like I guess I didn't prepare those to show you, but if I have trouble picking colors, I go to this Coolers app, and it's nice. You can go and see, you can pick these palettes, and so that's what I do, to pick them, to figure this stuff out. Okay, so now we're in the GG plot. So one of the ways you can kind of struggle through GG plot is you can create a plot and then you can add like themes and stuff. And I'm not an expert at GG plot. Like some people don't have to do that and some people do, because GG plot is this way of you declare a plot, but then see how there's a plus at each. You keep layering things on. So the first thing we do is declare the plot. The data is that bar plot above. AES is aesthetic. And then this X, remember the X? Let's remember the X. The X are the states, okay? But I'm making, so they're going to be state abbreviation, right? But I'm doing this reorder minus GGR 2018, and that's what causes this biggie bar to be at the beginning, right? And then, okay, let's go back here. And then the Y is GGR 2018 divided by 1,000,000, because remember, I was doing this in millions, right? Okay. Then the fill is GGR level. So it knows to color it different colors. Now, the default colors are that pink and blue and stuff. And so if I was to just run, like let's say I run this, okay. What's the problem here? Oh, I think I don't know what's wrong. Okay, I'm not going to try to run code. That's always a bad idea. But if I were to run this code and it were to work, it would show the bars not the right color. It would show that default color. I'll show you how I fixed that. Okay, when you declare your ggplot, you're just telling it the data, the X and the Y and the fill. Sometimes you say a few other things, but you're not telling it how to make it look. Like, do you want a bar? Do you want a line? Do you want a dot? What do you want? And so the next one is geom bar, because I want a bar. And stat equals identity is what you put when you just want the bar of whatever that was, whatever the Y is here. And position dodge is good to do. Otherwise, it'll do a stacked bar plot. And I realize this probably didn't matter. It probably wouldn't have done a stacked bar plot. But dodge is a way to get it not to do a stack. Okay, and then remember, I've got this geom point. I've got this thing going on. So that geom point, again, the data bar plot. Now I have to tell it about the points. It knows it's going to make a point in this AES because I said geom point. So the AES is, again, reorder. I got to keep the reorder or else my points won't line up with my bars. And this GGR18. And then the Y is population over 1,000. Now, the reason why it's over 1,000 and not over 1,000,000 is because I'm doing this thing with getting the secondary axis to line up, okay? So the bottom line is, if you do the second, and that's down here under scale Y continuous. So if you do this secondary, what I experimented. When the secondary axis was too big, let me see how this works. When the secondary axis was too big, it was too small, and it would go down at the bottom of these bars. But then when I made it too small, it was kind of going off the chart. So I settled on this as lining this up with this in a meaningful way so you could compare them. I think you'll agree. All right. So then, so that's why the divided by, and then the fill is the GGR level. And then the color is the GGR level, right? Remember that, because we're trying to do that. But again, those were the default colors because we're early in the code. Then the geom H line, that's a horizontal line, that line that I showed you over here. I can just show it to you again. This line here. So when you do it, you can do a V line too. I did an H line. Then the Y-intercept is mass pop because up here I pulled out the Massachusetts population, and that's why that's the variable here. And the color is hex red. Remember from up here. So see, it's easy to manipulate the colors when you name them like that. And then I've got scale color manual values equal dot color vals. So these are the two vectors I made of the color values that I assembled from these individual colors. So you can see that scale color menu, the dot color values, so that colors the geom points, and the fill menu colors the bars. I'm telling you, this took me a while to figure it out. And then scale Y continues. Now this is a little complicated. The labels are dollar, and it knows I'm talking about this left axis because I haven't declared the secondary axis yet. Then I declare the secondary axis, which equals this. So it's like the primary axis divided by 1,000. And then I just put this name here. And so you're thinking, okay, well, this is just independent. Well, no, it knows about the population data. So it's going to scale it to that. And then here's my Y label. Here's my X label. This all turns into P. Then I apply the classic theme. The classic theme is what makes it all white. There's no gray or lines in the background. And then this theme access text, element size. I had to make the text a little bigger because I'm getting older. My eyes are getting bad. What's really important here is I had kind of a problem. When you have two different sets of data, obviously for a secondary access you need it, it wants to put two legends. And so I don't want two legends. So I had to do this guide legend override AES list. Like I literally got it off of Stack Overflow. I don't even understand it. But I know if I mess with anything there, and then I get these two legends. So that's the thing with that. All right, so let's see here. So that was the first one. I'm getting confused here. Okay, so that was the first one. So now you know how to make that one. And actually, I posted it on LinkedIn. I posted my code for that and kind of walked people through it, but I just thought I'd redo it up here because, maybe you didn't see that. All right, so let's look at the next one. So that's this one. So let's unpack this, okay? So here's the 2018 population, and you'll see I didn't even bother to put the numbers there. I just didn't think it was that important. And this is the GGR in millions for 2018. And so this is a scatter plot, okay? And so see how I color coded this one? This time it's color coded not by GGR. I mean, this is the same data in the last one. It's not coded by GGR, it's coded by population level, right? So the only one that's red is Massachusetts because it's 6.9 million people there. So less than 6 million are these, so the little e ones are blue, and the biggie ones are these purple ones, right? Like here. And Florida is pretty big. I lived in Florida for 5 years. There's a lot of people there. I can attest to that. And then 6 to 7 million, that's sort of where Massachusetts falls. So these are kind of like the compatriots or whatever, the sister cities. And they came out up here. Remember, I was picking on Indiana saying that's making a lot more revenue. Look at this. It's the same population, but look at that big old bar and this little baby bar, And so it comes out here. So this is where Mass is in terms of its revenue. Well, if we want it to, so this 2018 population is just a little bit bigger here, and then we can have, here's 6 to 7 million. We could have a bigger GGR. So looking at this it's and of course here's Nevada right up here. And so the question then is, how do we compete with the states? So then that turns into a policy question, right? Like, should we be competing with why compete with Ohio, right? So let's go down here and let's look at these. So as you can see, I went over this. This is me now comparing the casinos to each other, because one thing you can do is whatever's wrong with Massachusetts or right with Massachusetts, you can compare the casinos to each other. Massachusetts is pretty small. It's not like Minnesota. Like if you have Mille Lacs Lake is in northern Minnesota. If you're at that Grand Casino Mille Lacs, you're not a customer of Mystic Lake Casino in Minneapolis, like outside Minneapolis, unless you're going on vacation, right? And here you don't really even have to go on vacation. Like all three of these casinos are close. Like if you're in Boston, you can drive to Pine Ridge Park in like an hour. You can drive to like Springfield in an hour, and you can just go to you can go on the T to Encore at Boston Harbor. So it's like you can choose all three of these and you can go. And so so they all should kind of be similar, right? But let's look at, first let's look, the problem is comparing these casinos is hard because they're so different. Like this is a lifetime monthly GGR by casino. And you'll see I made a mean line here, kind of like a control chart here. And you can obviously see which casinos which is the biggest, the middle, and the small, just because this is just raw data. But I'll still show you how I did it. So how I did it was we're going to open, I didn't show you the scatter plot. Here's how I did the scatter plot. Let's go back to that. So that one, you'll see a lot of this is, but it's the same thing, right? So I have scale color manual. Again, what's interesting about this is GG Repel. So like scale, like the scales is another thing you can add on ggplot. Where Repel is how I got, if you just do a straight ggplot, scatter plot, these things like DE and stuff, they'll appear right on top of the dots. And then you sit and you fuss around with trying to get the label to move. Repel figures it out. It's got like AI in it where like it decides if stuff is too close together, it'll even put a little line up to it. So I'd be a sales rep for the Repeal package. They're all free, so you can't be a sales rep. But anyway, so okay, so this one, again, we have geo and point. Again, we set up breaks is important. Breaks is where oh, I should probably have this like that because it's part of the scale Y and scale X continuous. So this shows where the breaks are in the X scale. And then let's see here. And again, we've got our guides. And here is where you can title in color equals guide legend. So where you can title your legend. So you'll see how the legend is titled here, right? And this last one, I couldn't get the title work. It's like got an underscore in it because of that double access thing. All right. Well, okay, so let's actually go to this one because I really like that one. So we're going to go in here. And so this is the total GGR, right? So I actually, I just had those foreign keys in there, that 1, 2, 3. So I actually added their names. I probably should have done that originally. But anyway, then I needed to know the mean. Remember how I have this mean, this sort of control line? And you can already guess I used an H line for it, right? From ggplot, like I showed you before. But I need to calculate it. So some people are big deployer types. I'm not a big deployer type. I just use aggregate. So you see, and I make aggregate as data frame. Let's see if this thing works. I don't know what's wrong. But anyway, so this is maybe I mapped it to the wrong place. But anyway, so this is aggregate. I use aggregate. So when you use aggregate, you forget this as data frame for a second. It makes a table if you don't do as data frame, right? So it's like you're taking the total GGR, or I'm taking the total GGR, which is a continuous variable, and by list ggplot casino. So this is the categorical variable I'm making it do the mean of. And then this is the function mean. And NARM means remove the NAs, which is an R, that's the empty ones. And you can't make a mean if it's got nothing there. So what I did was I created this data table, and then I created it as a data frame. I created this data frame GGR means, and then using this, I picked out the mean for Encore, the mean for MGM, the mean for PPC, for Plain Ridge Park. So later, when I go on here, you can already see what's going on. The reason why this is called year calendar POSIX, I probably should tell you about this. This was a lot more complicated than I realized. See how this is, it's time series. Obviously, you're going to have time on the bottom. But you actually have to have a real date there. So I had to make up like 1/1/2016. Like it had to be a real date. And in R, you can have date format, regular date. And you can have POSIX CT and POSIX LT. And I won't go into detail about them, but they're really helpful. POSIX is like really helpful to use. So I had to create a POSIX date, and then, but one thing I do want to tell you is I found a bug. I didn't find it. I mean, other people have found the bug, but I found the report of the bug is that you cannot use the annotate function in ggplot if you've got a time series plot with date on the x-axis. So I couldn't annotate this plot. Well, that's fine. I found a different way to handle it. So okay. So I've got this. So the year is on the X line. The Y is the total GGR. And then the line, the color equals casino, right? So it's going to pick the color by casino. Now, it's still got the original default colors here. Then see the y-intercept. See, these are the different control lines. And the scale color manual is the color list. I just have one color list because this is just one set of data. And then labs color equals casino. And total gaming revenue. And then here's that scale X date time. This is because of the POSIX and everything. So I strongly recommend scale X date time if you're doing a time series for your, because see these date breaks 1 year, it was trying to put all of the months. I mean, I want the lines for that, but I just want the year listed. And then see, you can say the date format. So scale X date time, I really vote for that. And then the scale Y continuous, and then this stuff. All right. So then, so the rest of these, see, this one I did it by month, just because I thought it might be more interesting to see the actual month. I left in the month. I mean, it's every quarter, I guess. But, so this is the monthly GGR per slot. So this is really kind of interesting. And I won't go over the code for this because it's pretty much the same as the last one. But see how Plainridge Park, that little baby one, it's like between 10 and 11. So every slot machine on average at Plainridge Park makes between $10,000 and $11,000 after paying out, any, like this is GGR, so after paying out any awards every month, right? Like makes you want to buy a slot machine and start having people, playing it, right? And then here, but the lowest one, MGM, which I really like that place, is like 5,000, right? So this tells me there's ways of improving this, right? And the same thing you see with the tables. Remember, Plainridge Park doesn't have any tables, but this is there. Now, this is the one I didn't like, and this is the payout percent. Now, those of you who know that there's that online casinos, this is our payout percent, right, in this gray area. In fact, I'll just quickly show you that. This is how, so I put GG Pabar and up there. This is how I did that. I did a rect. I guess it stands for rectangle. This annotate rect here. And I was able to do that. Okay. And see, I created this low USPCT and high USPCT. That, that's just from the online gaming. I just found it online, what they use. And that's how I created this rectangle here. All right. Okay, well, I'm sorry I got to go now because I got to go do something. But thank you for watching my stream. And let's see here. I'm going to go. Thank you for watching my stream. Feel free to go to my blog. Everything's in the description. You can read about the report, and if you want to join with me, connect with me on LinkedIn, and give me your email address and request a report, I'll email it to you. All right. Have a good day. Bye-bye.